Hey everyone, thanks so much for visiting my channel, Movement with Kaylin. Today is the 5th video in our Pilates for Pain Relief series, and today we are focusing on the hips. If you are a runner or cyclist or even just sit a lot for your job, this can be a really tight area for many of you. So we're gonna really work on that today, as well as find some strength in our core so we can find some nice stability here as we open up the hips. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, we're gonna go ahead and lay down on our backs first. So you're gonna come all the way down, bringing your feet to the mat, keeping your knees bent. And we're gonna bring our arms down by our sides. We're gonna start first by some opening of the lower back into the mat as we just find some nice gentle movement in the hips and the pelvis. So I want you to take a deep inhale. And then on your exhale, you're gonna flatten your back into the mat as you start to tilt the bottom of that pelvis up towards the ceiling. And then you're gonna inhale as you come back to that regular flat position. And then you're gonna exhale, flattening the low back in the mat. Feel like you're pulling your belly button down towards the floor as you lift the bottom of the pelvis up towards the ceiling. And then you come back to that flat position. So I just want you to move through that motion here. So if you look at my hands and kind of what they're doing, that's what your pelvis is doing here as it's rocking back and forth. And this is just providing some loosening in the low back and loosening in the hips here. So let's do just a few more like that. And last one. And then we're gonna continue that movement as we roll all the way up into a full bridge position. So on your exhale, you're gonna start to flatten your low back into the mat and then continue to peel your spine off the mat one bone at a time until you come into this nice straight position from your shoulders all the way to your knees. And then you're gonna reverse that as you roll back down. So this is providing some really nice mobility all through our spine here, as well as opening up the front of our hips here. So as you start to come up here, you're thinking of reaching your knees away in that direction as you pull your belly away in the opposite direction. So this is a nice stretch and reach, and you feel a nice opening through here. And then you're gonna go ahead and lower back down. Let's just do a couple more like that. Just a nice flowing motion, just really just warming everything up. And we lower, think upper back first, mid back, low back, and pelvis. And last one. Keeping those knees in line with the body, so making sure they don't come out to the sides. And lower it all the way down. Okay, keeping the back and the pelvis on the floor, we're just gonna do a gentle opening of the knee out to the side. So both feet are gonna stay on the floor, but you're gonna start to drop that left knee out to the left, keeping yourself steady through here, through your center, and then go ahead and bring the knee back up. And then we're gonna switch to the other side. So now your right leg is gonna open up, and then the leg is gonna come back into center. So all you're doing here is just getting some nice range of motion, bigger range of motion in that hip as you open it in that hip socket. And we're doing that without tilting the pelvis or the hips right and left. Try to keep everything nice and steady through here. This is where that abdominal connection and support and stability come in. Good, let's do one more each side. And exhale, center. Last one to the right. And exhale into center. All right. Now, we're gonna come back up into that bridge position, and we're gonna do that same opening of the knees up to the side. So a little bit more challenging here. So plant those feet into the floor, and we're gonna start to roll through your spine, just like we did before, to come up to that beautiful bridge. Now, I want you to transfer your weight to your right leg. So you're gonna feel a lot of work in that glute and hamstring, strengthening that. And you're gonna come to the toe of your left foot. or the toes of your left foot. And you're gonna start to open that left leg out to the side. It's not gonna come really low because you're trying to, again, keep this nice and stable. So everybody's range of motion is gonna be a little bit different here. Now we're getting a little bit more opening in the front of the hip flexor as we do this as well. Provides a lot more stability through your core and through your center. Last one on this side. And then bring that left heel to the floor. And we're gonna switch and keep our left foot down, right toes onto the floor as you start to lift that foot up just a little bit. And then you're gonna open that right knee out to the side. And then you're gonna bring it back to center. So this here is definitely more challenging for me to find that stability. So let's do a few more. Inhale, open. Exhale, up. Where is your pelvis at? If it's dropped down here, really want you to lift it up. Find that nice straight line here. Last one. Open and back to center. Go ahead and bring that heel to the floor. Even your hips off, and then go ahead and roll your spine, bringing it all the way down. All right, now that the pelvis is in this neutral position, we're gonna keep our spine onto the floor. We're gonna find more stability and strength all through here. So we're gonna do what's called toe taps, and we're gonna start by bringing our legs into tabletop. All right, so making sure here that the back isn't arched off the mat, but you're pulling the back of the ribs down, finding that stability and strength here. And we're gonna tap one toe down at a time. So we inhale as you tap the right toe down, exhale as you lift back up. Inhale, tap the left, exhale and lift. So it looks like a very simple exercise here, but you really have to think about this connection. So making sure the ribs are staying down, connected towards the pelvis. That's the hardest part. Finding that correct alignment and control is really gonna find that stability and strength through here. Let's do one more on the left side. Inhale, tap, and exhale to lift. All right, now go ahead and bring one foot down at a time. So both feet are gonna come to the floor. And we're gonna find some abdominal curls here. So think of like a little baby crunch. Keeping our feet on the floor, knees bent. Arms are gonna lift up towards the ceiling. We're gonna take an inhale here. Exhale, the head, neck, and chest are gonna lift as you come to the tips of the shoulders, and then you lower back down. And then exhale, lift, and inhale, lower. As you can see, my head is floating with my upper body. So the neck isn't cranking up first, it's moving right in line with your spine. And lower, shoulders are down your back. Let's do 3. Last 2. Last 1. And coming back. All right, we're gonna add a little bit of a leg lift with that. So we're gonna do what's called marching with the legs as we come into that ab curl. So as you lift the head, neck, and chest, you're also gonna lift your right leg up into tabletop. And then you lower that leg down, and we're gonna switch to the other side. Exhale, head, neck, and chest lift, leg comes into tabletop, and we lower. So now we're working upper and lower abdominals here together, finding more strength and stability in our center. Good, exhale, lift, and lower. Let's do 2 more each side. If at any point here, you need to keep your head down because of tension in your neck and shoulders, you can go ahead and keep your head down and just move those legs. Last one each side. Last one, left and lower. Go ahead and bring your arms down to your sides, widen your feet as wide as your mat. And you're gonna go ahead and just windshield wiper those knees side to side. Just finding a little bit of movement here. All right, so from here, I want you to keep your left foot on the floor, and we're gonna go ahead and extend this right leg up towards the ceiling. So first what I want you to do is grab onto the back of your leg And just point and flex your toe. Feeling a little bit more stretch in the back of that hamstring. All right, now go ahead and release your arms, bringing them down to the floor. And I want you to go ahead and lower this leg down towards the floor, not touching it, but finding a nice opening here in the front of that hip, and then bringing it back up. So we're gonna do that again, lowering the leg down, hovering it off the floor, just holding there for a second, and then lifting back up. So you're finding some length here in the front of the hip, but you're also working that hip flexor, so we're strengthening at the same time. Let's do 2 more. Last one. This time I want you to bring the leg up, hold it lifted, point the toe. We're gonna do some leg circles. So you're gonna bring the left leg across the body just a little bit, sweep it down towards the floor, open out to the side and back up. So this is finding more range of motion of your leg in your hip socket. So we're really just loosening up that hip joint even more. If you need to bend your knee a little bit for this one, go ahead and do that, depending on how tight your hamstrings are. Now go ahead and lift the leg, hold it here. We're gonna reverse the circles. So coming down, around, and up. Now, if this is just too much for you with that hip, you can do this same movement by pulling the knee in towards your chest and just doing some more gentle hip circles here. This might be plenty for you. You're still getting that range of motion that we're looking for. So either one is fine. All right, once you've done all of those circles in that direction, go ahead and bring that leg to the floor. We're gonna switch to the other side. So we're gonna go ahead and bring that left leg up, hold on behind the leg as you point and flex the ankle. Good. And then go ahead and leave that foot flexed. Keep your ribs down towards the floor. You're gonna reach this leg away. Again, just hovering off the floor, off the mat, and then we lift back up. So as you do this, you want to imagine that your pelvis is staying nice and flat and neutral. So if as you're coming up, you're kind of lifting your bottom off of the mat, you've gone too far. So we want to keep this nice and level here. You can even put your hand here on your pelvis just to see if that's happening. Good, let's do one more here. And lift. Good, now point that toe and we're gonna do those circles. You're gonna bring the leg across, down, out to the left, and lift up. So your circles might be bigger or smaller than mine, but what I want you to imagine is that you're staying nice and still again through here, through that pelvis. So you're getting that work coming from that leg rotating in your hip socket. One more time this direction. And remember, you can bend that knee if you need to and do those bent knee circles instead. Now we're gonna reverse it, coming out, around, and up. Really plant this opposite leg into the floor to find that stability. And we're gonna do one more here, out, around, and lift. And then go ahead and pull that leg in, and then bring both feet to the floor. And either roll off to your side to sit on up, or pull your knees into your chest, and you're gonna rock up to seated. And we're gonna do a kneeling hip flexor stretch. So you're gonna come up onto those knees. I think this exercise we also did in our lower back pain video, because a lot of times lower back pain can be connected to tight hips and hip flexors. So if you did that one, you'll see this one again here. So we're gonna start with our bring our right leg forward. So we're in this 90-degree angle. All right, a lot of times, a lot of us like to just kind of dump into this and lean forward, getting that stretch. We're gonna come into it a little bit differently. So I want you to imagine here as you're in this position, you're trying to lengthen your low back as you pull your pelvis in and up, okay? So it's this lifting here as you lengthen through the lower back, and the pelvis is kind of tucking under the body. You can bring your hands to your hips here, and then keeping that positioning and alignment, you're just gonna start to lean forward here just a little bit more. That's really gonna open up and stretch through here. This is a really tight area, especially for me. and especially on my other side, on my right leg. So just take a few deep breaths here. Just finding this correct alignment that I just talked about is really gonna open up that hip quite a bit more than if you were just to lean forward and bring your hands to the floor and stretch down that way. So keep, as you're breathing, lifting through the front as you lengthen down through the back. One more deep breath. And then go ahead and come on up. We're gonna switch to our other leg. So you're gonna bring this right knee down. That left knee now is gonna come up. And same thing here as you lift up through your center, lengthening through that lower back. Now I have less range here because this side is my tighter side, and you'll probably find that with one of your sides as well. So as you find this lift, you can lean forward just a little bit more, but I want you to keep that connection and that alignment there. So take a deep breath in here and exhale, relaxing through the neck and the shoulders. Inhaling in and exhale, reconnecting through here. Last one, deep breath and exhale. Awesome. All right, let's go ahead and come onto our side now. So we're gonna do some side lying work. So I'm gonna have you lay on your left side first, and your elbow all the way through to your pelvis is in a nice straight line along the back edge of your mat. You can also come down to your arm here. That's the way I'm gonna set up for today. Just a little bit of a easier way to get into the position. So we're just gonna do a few exercises here. We're strengthening the glutes and the outer hip area, while also getting some nice length in the front of the hip. Okay, top hand can come to the floor. I want you to go ahead and point that top leg. Make sure your hips are stacked one on top of the other. So making sure you're not rocking this top hip back throughout the movements. Holding that here, belly in, you're gonna start to lift and lower this top leg. So really think of reaching and stretching it away from your upper body, finding more length as you lift and lower. Good. Let's do 5, 4. We're gonna do about 8 of each of these exercises. For 3, last 2, last 1. Awesome. Now, you're gonna go ahead and bend your top leg, bringing your knee up towards the ceiling, foot to the floor. Excuse me, if that's uncomfortable, you can go ahead and bring your leg more like this instead. Once you get yourself set up in that position, you're gonna point the bottom leg, and we're gonna lift and lower that bottom leg here. So now strengthening the inner thigh of that bottom leg. Where's your spine at? Making sure it's still nice and long. Good, now flex that foot of the bottom leg and do that same exercise. Let's do 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good, lowering that leg down. Now we're gonna go ahead and bend the knees. Last exercise on this side is clamming. Feet are together. And we're gonna open that top knee, keeping our feet glued together. So again, this hip here, excuse me, this hip here is not tilting back, staying stacked right on top of the other hip. It's really gonna get into that outer hip and glute, strengthening that area. Let's do 3, and 2, and 1. Good. All right, before we switch to the other side, let's come onto our back here and just get a little hip opening stretch in our figure 4 stretch. So you're gonna cross your right ankle over your left knee, because that's the leg that we just worked, that right side. Flex through your right ankle. Start to draw your left leg up and in towards your chest, flexing that left ankle as well. And you're trying to open that right knee farther away from you as you pull that left leg in. So try to keep here that pelvis, again, still grounded. Once we start to kind of lift up here, we're defeating the point of the stretch. So to keep that pelvis here as you open that leg out and then pull that left leg in. Good, let's do one more deep breath here. And feel free to hold that for a little longer if you need to. That's a really good hip opening stretch. Otherwise, you're gonna go ahead and come on up and then switch to your other side. So this time I'll be on my right side, setting myself up against the back edge of the mat. Legs are just at a diagonal forward in front of you. Belly is pulling in and up. Go ahead now and point this top leg. We're gonna do our lift and lowers here. Now we're working that left hip, left glute area. I have a little bit more range on this left side. My left hip is not as tight as my right. So honor that in your body, is that one side's gonna be a lot different than the other. And this goes for upper and lower body. You'll find one side is weaker and stronger than the other. And that's okay, and that's why we do these single-sided work, so that we can strengthen those sides individually and stretch those sides individually. All right, now from here, I want you to go ahead and bend your top knee, either putting the foot on the floor or go ahead and bring the knee down. And I want you to go ahead and point the leg of the bottom foot, and we're gonna go ahead and start to lift and lower using that inner thigh here. Good. Now go ahead and flex that foot. You're gonna do the same thing. Awesome. Let's do 3 and 2 and last one. All right, bringing that leg to the floor. Go ahead and bend your knees, setting yourself up for clamming. So hips stay stacked, feet stay together. And we just open that top knee up. Feeling more glute and outer hip work here. Good. This one is one of those exercises that doesn't look like much, but it really relies on more repetition. So the more you do of these, you're really gonna feel a huge difference here. So it's not a huge exercise, but it's a very effective exercise to get into this area right here. Good, let's do 2 more for 2. And last one, good. All right, go ahead and come now onto your back to stretch out that left hip here. So coming all the way down, keep your right foot on the floor. Left ankle is gonna cross over that right knee. And we'll go ahead and pull that right leg in towards your chest. Again, your pelvis stays rooted into the floor as you pull that right leg in, opening that left knee out to the side. Shoulders are relaxed. We don't need any tension in other areas of the body. Just release and relax that. Good, one more breath. Okay, go ahead and bring both feet to the floor. I'm gonna have you flip over onto your belly. And you're gonna go ahead and bring your hands, make them as a little pillow with your elbows out to the sides. Shoulders are down your back. We're gonna get a little bit of hip extension here. So as you're in this position, your shoulders are down, your belly is pulling in and up away from the floor. Now with that, you're gonna really reach those legs out nice and long. And you're gonna start to lift your right leg up as you reach it away from the body and then lower it back down. And you do the same thing with that left side. You're gonna lift up and reach, and you're gonna lower. So you're getting some nice opening in the front of the hips here as you strengthen those glutes. And lower. Keep the belly pulling up and away from the floor so you're not using your lower back to do this work. Lift, reach, and lower. Let's just do 2 more on each side. Last one, lift, lower. Oh, actually, I think we have 1 more on each side. Lift, reach, opening the front of that hip, and lower. Now this is the last one on this side, and lower. All right, now bringing your hands to the floor, go ahead and press up into all fours. This is the last exercise we're gonna do here today. So we're gonna do that same exercise in an all fours position. So your shoulders are over your wrists, your knees are under your hips. Belly's pulling up without arching our back. We're using those lower abdominal muscles. And I want you to bring this right leg back to hip height, keeping the hip pointed towards the floor. And we're gonna do that same hip extension exercise. Now, we're using more of our upper body and that stability and strength in our core and our abdominals and our pelvic and hip area as we lift that leg. Let's do 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now lower that knee down, lift that back leg. We do the same thing on this side, and we lift up. Again, without arching the back. This one you really have to think about the glute muscles working as the belly's pulling in and up. It's that mind-body connection. Good, let's do 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then we're lowering that knee all the way down. That is gonna finish up our hips for today. Hopefully you got some nice stretching in the front and side of your hips and some strengthening in the glutes and in the core to help support this whole area. Like I said, if you're a runner, cyclist, or sit at home a lot or for work, this is a great one to do every day to work on this area, help relieve pain, and hopefully provide some relief and release for you. Thanks so much. Hope you enjoyed it. And please subscribe to my channel, Movement with Kaylin. Hope to see you soon. Bye.